Hey guys, so I'm here to do a reaction video in regards to this Dr. Phil's primetime show, in regards to polygamy versus monogamy. It was a quite interesting conversation. However, I just excerpt parts of the conversation that I really want to talk about to create a talking point, which I thought was very interesting. So that's what we're gonna be covering today in this video. So be sure to stay tuned until the end to hear my thoughts, to hear their thoughts, and then you can gather your thoughts at the end. So, without further ado, let's get into this.
Do you know what polyamory is? It's when partners in a romantic relationship agree to date other people, and those people can date other people. And everybody's out in the open about who they're partnering with. So they don't consider it cheating. Could you handle that? Could your children handle that? Now, Jennifer, her husband of 16 years, Daniel, and her live-in boyfriend of 4 years, Ty, say they happily practice polyamory and live as a throuple. Now, that's like a couple, but three people are in the relationship. Well, I'll let them explain.
Monogamy is a concept that does not fit every relationship. Definitely does not fit mine. Daniel and I got married August 8th, 2008.
We decided on polyamory after a lot of discussion.
I started developing other crushes on someone, and then it was in December of 2015 when our kids were 5 and 3, we started actively doing more polyamorous dating.
I had my first polyamorous relationship in 2016.
Ty and I had about 4 or 5 dates before I brought him home to meet Daniel and the rest of my family.
I think Ty's cool.
Ty and I decided that we never wanted to be separated.
When Jennifer brought up the subject of Ty moving in, to me it just made a lot of sense.
So once there were 3 streams of income, the quality of life for everyone, I think, greatly improved.
If mom and dad are busy doing work, then I can just ask Ty, hey, can you check my room? Because adults check if our rooms are clean to allow us to get on screens.
It would have been pretty close to impossible to buy a house in just a monogamous relationship.
We had a down payment of more than $20,000, and we never would have been able to afford this house without Ty.
So that was the reason as to why you went ahead and broke the trust and violated the terms and vows of your marriage so as to expand your household income. It's just really for money. The love of money is the root of all evil. People will just go ahead and just do anything at this point for the sakes of having that dough.
She just said a real key word in there. She said, Daniel, I love you, but. And but means, forget everything I just said. Now I'm going to tell you what I really think. And she said, I love you, but I'm having trouble envisioning being with just you for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I mean, the first conversation was surprising, but I also felt respected because if she wanted to cheat, she could have. And if she wanted to sleep around and mess around, she could have. But instead,
Bro's there gaslighting himself, saying if she wanted to cheat, she could have. If she wanted to, bro, she cheat on him in a broad daylight. Look, not because she didn't cheat behind your back makes it less disrespectful. Because she came to you politely and said, you know, I feel discontented. I want someone else in a relationship. Because you're broke. So it doesn't make it less, you know, she like cheated on him in broad daylight, bro. She wasn't even doing it behind his back, which I think is worst. You know that song that says, if you're playing me, keep it on the low, 'cause my heart can't take it anymore. If you're playing me. Let me not get in my singing mode. Alright, now, boy, your boy can sing it now. You're afraid. Me sing it, yo. Anyways, I digress. Let's continue.
but instead she came to me. Instead, she talked to me. She said, I care about your feelings. And not only does she care about feelings, she values the relationship.
Shawty cares not. Shawty cares not. She doesn't care about how you feel. Doesn't care about no relationship. The only person she's concerned about and cares about is herself and her emotions, that she didn't know what to do with them, and she found a way. And the way was to cheat on you in broad daylight and sleep. And you talking about she could have slept around if she could have. She's even though she's not sleeping around, she's sleeping with another man in your house, all of you house, because the other man, it's his money. Yo, it's just confusing, brother. Sometimes I just wonder what is going on. Jah earth, Father God.
I think it made all of the difference in the world. Like, to be able to be honest, because we had this relationship that was built on honesty and trust, and to be able to be honest about these feelings and not break my trust, I think was...
Honesty doesn't negate or excuse disrespect. Honesty is not a license to break trust. Not because you're being honest means it is indicative that wrong becomes right. Honesty is not indicative of good intentions. It's like telling someone you're about to poison them, or someone's telling you that they're about to poison you. But instead of allowing you to be poisoned unknowingly, they tell you that, I'm going to poison you. Oh, that doesn't make it less evil because you're now telling me that you're going to kill me, you're trying to kill me. So it's that situation where, because she came to him and was being polite, that means, oh, she's respectful. Respect is not the same thing as loyalty. Like, they're not the same thing. Like, nah, she's not being loyal. She might. I don't think she respects his feelings either. He's like, oh yeah, she respects my feelings. Where in that does she respect your feelings? How does she respect your? I don't know. I'm curious to know these people's definition of what they mean by loyalty and by marriage and by everything, because their definitions are so misconstrued. God damn.
Would you get nervous if they broke up? Because she said, I love you, but I need a booster.
No, I wouldn't get nervous if they broke up. I would be sad. I would also be heartbroken. I would be, doing my best to be a comfort and a resource. But yeah, I wouldn't be nervous at all. I think we have, like, Jennifer and I's relationship has never felt more reliable.
You'd be hurt. Anyways, I digress.
Devin, what do you think about the whole paradigm?
Well, first, I understand the logic behind it. I think right now we live in a society where a lot of people are financially insecure, and they're trying to find ways that they can solve that problem because certain things weren't put in place for a lot of millennials and Gen Zs to succeed. Even with me and my wife, when we first got married, we came from broken homes. We didn't understand what it took to have a successful marriage. So wherever there's ignorance, there's experimentation. So we started off experimenting with marriage, and we were struggling, we were failing. But we came to each other, we turned towards each other and said, look, this is not, find a way to correct it instead of turning away from each other and trying to fulfill needs outside of our marriage. I listened to, earlier they said that he respected the trust that she had when she came to him. But I think the trust really starts when you initially start to have those emotions. You come to each other in the beginning so that you can find a way to solve that problem rather than allowing it to fester over time to the point where you're already ready to bring new people into the relationship.
Yeah. Now, Dr. Schiff, you tried polyamory personally. It did not work for you.
No, I've tried it twice, in fact. I've tried to be polyamorous for about 30 years or so, different ways.
That's a fair test.
Yeah, gave it a good try. And just because it doesn't work for me doesn't mean that it can't work for other people. In fact, I would say that for some people, polyamory works far better for them than does monogamy.
Hold up. Get right with you. I'm going to get right with you. So, listen. Not because something works mean it's for your good or it's in your best interest or it's for your benefit. Heck, I could have a grenade in my hand. I pull the pin. Guess what? It blows up. It explodes. It worked, but I'm dead. So, not because something works mean it's actually for your benefit.
Do you recommend this to people? Because the statistics are that the vast majority of polyamorous relationships fail, correct?
I would disagree. In my data, I see durable, lasting, very long-lasting relationships for more decades.
People can have longevity in their relationships, but that longevity is not indicative that it's healthy. It can be a long toxic relationship. Like, a lot of people are in that. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Dark way, but I think what Devin said is it really rings true with what I talked to the three ladies about. Is there is I want to have my cake and eat it too mentality. It's almost like a drug addiction. You get that first high, and then you got to do more, and the high doesn't last as long. You got to do more, and the high doesn't last as long, and you're chasing something that is inevitably empty, and you're going to come up empty, and that's what the statistics show.
There's a biblical figure called King Solomon, and his experience and why it is good to have one wife and engage in monogamy is quite an interesting one, right? Because polygamy is thrilling, but not fulfilling. Say that one more time. Polygamy is thrilling, but it's not fulfilling. Now, I get the point. She's saying, well, not because it didn't work for one person means it's not going to work for someone else. Yeah, I get the idea or the concept of one size doesn't fit all, right? But at the same time, it's not going to work at all. Based on study, it shows that it fails. People break up more likely when it's when they're in a polygamous dynamic. So it just doesn't work. So King Solomon engaged in a life of polygamy where he had 1,000 women, and they nearly ruined his life. So he transitioned into monogamy. And he said that he who finds a wife, meaning one woman, which implies monogamy, finds something good. So by definition, he's saying a life of monogamy outweighs a life of polygamy, which I would agree as well.
Now, why get married? I think you should get married. I have nothing against monogamy. My parents are in a loving monogamous relationship. So is my sister. So is most everybody I know. That's the best way to legally connect yourself to someone, especially if you have children. But, a lot of us, we have just different definitions and an expanding definition of what love can look like.
Yeah. Having different definitions, expanding definitions, being all elaborate with words. Listen, changing the definition of something doesn't change the nature of it. I.e., a man can feel like he's a woman and start to use makeup. He wears dresses and saying slay queen, and even audaciously calls himself a woman. He may have changed the definition of himself, but his nature and biology remains to be a man, and that will never change. Likewise with marriage, you can change the definition of it to say it's an open marriage by having more than one person a part of that relationship, but that doesn't change the nature of marriage, that it is meant to be between two people, a man and a woman, which is the most successful based on data, okay? You either have two choices in that scenario. You either have two choices in that scenario. Either be contented or be delusional. So your two choices are contentment or delusion. Either be content with who you have or be delusional to believe polygamy will be as equally successful as monogamy. I also find it ironic that marriage is called wedlock, but yet still they want to keep it open. Wow. That's just the thing with polygamy, right? Is that, yes, it's very much easy to go and sleep around with someone. It's very easy to not have self-control and all these things. But with the life of monogamy, it takes dedication, which a lot of people aren't willing to apply to just one person. It's really about willingness. They're just not willing to do it. It's not that they can't do it. They're just not willing to do it. Maybe they can't because they don't have that capacity to, but it's something that they can develop. And with monogamy, it takes work, right? It takes work. It's hard work, which a lot of people aren't willing to put in. A lot of people just aren't willing to make the efforts to just stay with one person. So they just allow their whims to get the best of them, and they just go and sleep around with whoever they feel like, because it's just the easiest thing to do. It's easier than just being committed to one person. So that's why a lot of people choose a life of polygamy instead of monogamy. So yeah, they're just lazy, I would say, because they don't want to put the work in to really keep that person with them, to retain that person. So That's just my thought, yeah. Hey guys, thank you so much for staying through to the end. Thank you for watching. And before you go, remember to like, to comment below, and to subscribe so you won't miss any more of my uploads. So until next time, see you again. Big up yourself. Yeah, you. Where are you? Where are you?